it's Carly and I'm back again with another edition of What I Found at Fanboys. Before we get to look at what I found at Fanboys this week, I would like to remind everyone to please join us at our location on Camp Bowie Boulevard on February 26th, Saturday, a week from Saturday. We will be having Sam De La Rosa coming for a meet and greet from 12 to 6, signing comics. You do not want to miss this legend. He's done Spider-Man, Venom, Green Lantern, Predator, so many comic books that you know and love, so many characters that are just integral to comic book collecting and comic book history. You do not want to miss it. Gather up your books and be there for that. On the same day, we'll also be having a pop swap where you can meet and greet, buy, sell, and trade with other pop collectors to perfect your collection. And we'll also be having a Hot Wheels drag race. So please make sure you come down to our store on Camp Bowie Boulevard on February 26th and see all of the great events we have going on. Of course, we will have all of our usual vendors, wonderful staff to help you with any of your needs, comic books to sort through, toys to look at, games to shop for, and so much more. So please join us on February 26th. We cannot wait to see you there. With that out of the way, we will now be taking a look at the figures that I found at Fanboys this week, and they are two very interesting figures that I'm really excited to talk about. We're going to be taking a look at the character Deathlok. So I was able to find two Toy Biz Deathlok figures. Toy Biz, for those of you who don't know, is the company that did Marvel figures before Hasbro took over and started doing them. And in the collector community, a lot of people who've been collecting for many years really sort of hold a lot of the Toy Biz figures as the standard. So as far as design and being true to the character and overall detailing, there are a lot of people in the collector community who really prefer, a lot of times, the Toy Biz to the updated Hasbro. And a lot of this can do with nostalgia, but also the way that these toys were produced allowed for a lot more detail, and it just doesn't feel quite as heavily mass-produced sometimes. They feel like individual pieces of art a little bit more than some of the bigger name, big box, retailer type brands that are just churned out all the time, like you know, your Marvel Legends and other brands like that. So here is what the Toy Biz Deathlok looks like. This would be their regular 6-inch figure. The packaging on these Toy Biz action figures was really cool too. It was always sort of a classic card with the entire collection on the back, a little synopsis about the character. Hasbro does this now as a retro set, which is really cool to see, bringing back the retro, but this was just sort of the way they all came, and it was really, really cool. And then I also was able to pick up the Deathlok that was a part of the Galactus BAF. So this one is also Toy Biz. We're going to talk about this a little bit more. This is a larger figure. You can see he's got a lot more detail. But you'll also notice that the BAF piece is missing. So this is something that is really common on the resale market. This Galactus BAF is one of the most sought after BAF figures. BAF, for those of you who don't know, is a Build-A-Fig where a series of figures will each come with one body part of the action figure, and you buy them all to build the big action figure. So here's the series. This Galactus is one of the most sought after original BAFs probably out there, so it's no surprise to not find that in a resold toy. But the Deathlok himself is actually pretty incredible, so we really did get a great find here just by getting the Deathlok. And again, we're back in a time where toys came with comic books. So this particular toy came with a Deathlok comic that actually advertises the series on the back. I see that this is not for resale, but I don't believe that this is the actual comic book that came in this originally. I can't really confirm that other than by the picture on the back. But again, when you're buying on a resale market, a lot of those parts and pieces will be missing. So whenever you're looking at a resale toy item that is supposed to come with a BAF piece or a comic book, if the BAF piece or the comic book is really important to you, make sure that you're checking and you know what you're supposed to get with it so that you don't miss out and accidentally buy something that might be part and parcel. Sometimes the really great price and the really great deal that you get will be because the more valuable item has been resold separately. Very common, and that is actually what happened with this. But I was actually excited about the Deathlok. So Deathlok is a really interesting character that I care about because he's sort of an unfinished character that it feels like inspired a lot of other types of interesting characters in the 90s. So there are some people that would describe him as a foil to Captain America. He is supposed to be a super soldier. He is a trained soldier, and he had this great tactical ability, which is really interesting because you never actually get to see him doing very much with that early in his appearances in Marvel Comics. But he dies, and the military decides that they don't want to lose all of the knowledge in his brain. So they literally reanimate his corpse and put him into a cyborg suit. And it's a failed, really sort of a failed experiment, because all he wants after that, he's supposed to be governed by this computer. His mind is powerful and strong. He's able to overtake the computer, and all he wants after that is to be human again, which is impossible. His body is literally decaying inside of this metal suit, and it really has sort of a RoboCop vibe, which is why I say it sort of inspired other things. But the sad thing about Deathlok is that he was rebooted so many times, he never really got to like see a story through. They did tie up some loose ends at some points. We see him in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he does get to do other things, but sometimes he gets killed. He gets turned into a total robot and killed off. So these kinds of characters really intrigue me. It's a character that Marvel didn't really want to let go of at the time that it was presented to them, but they also didn't really like want to fully invest in it. They sort of just like didn't give him his own book, but gave the creators and the writers and the artists free reign to sort of do what they will, which led to a lot of like broken storylines and a lot of history that has loose ends and never got tied up. But the cool thing is to see an interpretation from decades ago, from the 70s, of what a cyborg type character would be like. And what I really like is that you can see in all of the portrayals of Deathlok his sort of rotting human core, which is like this macabre, really dark sort of vibe that you don't get to see a lot. They make everything a lot cleaner, I think. In those days, they would make things seem more palatable that were maybe a little bit darker, but they would make them look a little bit less frightening, and they didn't with Deathlok. Deathlok, they made him look like what he was. So I really appreciate that. He's got a bit of a horror element to him, and there is something a little bit trite, but also very relatable to the idea that he just wants his old life back, and it's something that is absolutely unattainable for him. So I was really excited to find these and excited for the opportunity to get my hands on one of the BAF figures, even though I didn't get the BAF piece. It'll be interesting to see what types of BAF figures I'm able to actually find at Fanboys as I'm going back in the next week to pick up more items to talk about. I'm interested to know what your BAF searches are, so please share in the comments below what types of BAF figures you're looking at. If you are interested in the character of Deathlok, what do you recommend that we read? Should we try to track down the rest of this comic book? Should we look for another series? I know he has a Captain America short run. Let us know what you think about Deathlok and what you think about the old Toy Biz figs versus the new Hasbro figs. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. Again, please don't miss our event on February 26th at Fanboys on Camp Bowie. We cannot wait to see you there, and we will be back again on Tuesday with another video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!